So we got the fertilizing done, and next step is I'm going to try to plant some winter rye tonight. They're calling for rain, so we're going to get some winter rye in the ground. The pH isn't perfect quite yet. You know, it's the first year of this plot, but winter rye can handle that. I really like winter rye because it's tough, and it's a great late season food source for the deer in this area. We'll disc it in the best we can with these stumps, but it's going to be getting dark soon, so I better get going. So the winter rye is in the ground, and I was able to disc the plot fairly well. I'm pleased with how it's turning out. You know, this is plantation pine, so these things are in rows, and my disc was, along with the four-wheeler, was able to fit between the rows pretty well for the most part. I'll have to work on these stumps more next year, but cultipacking now, and I wouldn't have to cultipack with the winter rye, but what I'm going to try is I've got some annual clover that I want to test here, and that's fixation balanza clover. I planted that before, but I know my pH is still going to be low even though I've limed it, because it does take a while for the pH to turn around. But that being said, I'm going to test it so I can learn something this season. I always try some new things and learn some new things, and sometimes you learn by failure as well, but hopefully it's a success. Either way, I'm going to have winter rye here. You know, that can handle these types of conditions, but I'll get it cultipacked. And then I'll spread out the fixation balanza clover and then cultipack one more time. And then the only thing left to do is put the cover on the blind and install my scrape tree, fill up the water hole, and maybe fertilize one more time with the sandy soil. Like I've said before, I don't like to give it all the fertilizer it needs at one time because I don't want to put it in the groundwater or anything like that. So I'll get cultipacking, and then we'll get the seed spread and one more cultipack, and then this spot's done. So we're nearing the final steps on this food plot, new food plot for this year. We got the ground blind. I built the frame, or put the frame together here a while back, but I got the cover on it now. And these windows actually will slide up and down. So pretty nice little setup. And then I put my trail camera right here. And the benefit of this is, I'll show you here in a minute, I got a licking branch out here and a water hole and such, but I can pull the card right from the ground blind without having to cross the food plot, giving deer a reason to cross my scent trail. So again, the door is on the back side behind my screening cover here, and that's also going to prevent deer from coming in and, you know, being downwind of me and such. So it helps in multiple ways. They've got an open side over here, they've got openings back there and such, so there's plenty of options for them to get in, but this provides a visual barrier so I can get in and out without the deer knowing, as well as it's going to prevent deer from catching my wind or wanting to be in a spot where they could catch my wind. But the trail camera is there, and what I also installed today was when they did the logging, they left, you know, a few logs and stuff. So I attached one over here to a stump, and this is going to act as a scrape tree. So I attached this to the stump here, and we've got two overhanging branches, and the idea is a buck can work this up really easy. We've got overhanging branches, and they're going to be within bow range. The other thing we have here is the water hole. We filled that up today, and again, leaving a stick in there to keep rodents out. And then behind over here, we've got the berm, and the idea behind that is making deer come around, kind of creating a pinch point here, so they come around instead of crossing back and forth out of bow range. And it also acts as a little bit of a visual barrier, so you can have a family group of deer on one side without the social pressure on the other side, and so on. So we've got a nice little setup for this year. Next year the plan is to try to get rid of some of these stumps. If they were hardwood stumps, they'd be sending up all kinds of great browse, but with them being red pine stumps, they're pretty much worthless. But I was able to work up the ground enough to get the lime incorporated and fertilizer incorporated, and we've got a pretty decent stand of winter rye for our first year plot. So we got winter rye in it here, and then come next summer we'll probably work on the stumps and plant buckwheat and help to build some of this organic matter in the soil, although there is a decent amount of organic matter in this sandy soil here just because it's been, you know, a woods for so long and the ground hasn't been worked. Every time you work the ground, you can burn up some of that organic matter, so I try to reduce that as much as possible. But work on some stumps next year. And the other thing is I'm gonna look at planting probably 6 apple trees out here as well. And you know, I'll probably have them fairly close to the water hole, so if I filling up the water hole, I can water the apple trees and stuff. But again, just more biodiversity. Now we'll go take a look at the ladder stand that we put up, and that's back in this corner here. And again, with this back corner, we didn't work it up as well. Some of that stuff's going to turn into early successional habitat, and you know, this is going to be the cream of the crop, and luckily it's all within bow range. So we'll go take a look at the ladder stand, and then you know, this thing's pretty much ready to hunt. So I've mowed an access trail here, and we had some taller grass, and I really don't want to be brushing up against all this as I'm going in and out to the stand. But again, this is a real low impact in and out. You can hear the road in the background, so I don't have far to go, but I just didn't want to leave any scent closer to the food plot and my ladder stand. So I mowed it, and my ladder stand's just right back in here where the pines start, and I'll swing it over here so you can see the food plot, but I'm maybe 40-50 yards off the food plot. And that being said, you really can't see into the food plot. And I do have another option if, you know, a deer stayed closer to the edge that I'm at, where I could get out as well. But I think this is going to work 90-95% of the time. So we're walking down the access trail, and I made it wide enough so I'm not going to brush up against a whole bunch of stuff. And the food plot is over there, so I am pretty well hidden. So we're in the spot where I hung a ladder stand. Got a trail camera here, and part of the benefit of having it close to the stand is you don't have to make any additional traffic. You know, I'm just going to check this when I'm hunting, and you know, sometimes you can look for patterns in the data, and sometimes years of patterns. So, you know, if it was a wireless camera, I might put it in a different spot, but the fact that I can check it when I come out to hunt, that adds no additional pressure, but it still gives me some insight. So I got the ladder stand here, and my axis is going to be right through here. And pan the camera this way, you can see maybe the edge of the food plot there, but again, there's a trail coming that's going into that corner. But with this ladder stand, I'm going to be able to climb down. I'm off the food plot, and then I'm going to be able to climb down, walk right out this way. We've got good cover, and again, now I'm getting farther from the food plot, and we have enough small trees screening here, and I built a little bit of a berm with some of the slashings, and then out I go. So this is already going to be pretty quiet because it's pine needles. So it's not the crunch, crunch, crunch that happens when you are, with deciduous leaves in the fall. But there are a lot of cones, and they make noise. I don't know if you can hear it, but they make a lot of noise. So I might come back one more time here and just rake out a little bit of a path so I can get out of here quiet. But I won't be crossing the trails that are going to be coming through this way to go to the food. I won't be crossing the trails to check my camera, and I'll be able to get in and out of here pretty low impact. And I could even hunt this if I'm quiet enough for a morning as they're coming off the food, even though we're pretty close to the food, but I think I could pull it off with the way this is set up. But we'll get the trail camera fired up, and then we might even hunt this stand this year. I haven't been in a tree stand for quite a few years. I've been hunting exclusively off the ground, but I do miss being up in the air, so it might be the year to get back in a tree.